Welcome to Frack The Canon. I'm René Mendoza, and with me we'll have my co-host from LA, CJ McCree. What up, CJ?
How's it going?
So this show is going to be about mostly comics and movies. And this week will be, since this is our inaugural episode, the very first one, and we'll be talking about Kingsmen and Robot and Frank, and about movie-wise. And in comic, we talk about the end of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I mean, Marvel comic book universe, and Miles Morales,
Well,
the
we
new. Wait, what's up?
we might touch on the end of cinematic universe as well.
That's true. That's true. I forgot about that. Thank you, CJ. The Cinematic Universe. So, CJ, you brought up the first. We'll talk about. Let's show the clip for the Kingsman, and then CJ will give us his take on it since he was the one that saw it. So, clip. Here we go.
Did you see the film Trading Places?
No.
How about Nikita? Pretty woman? All right. My point is that the lack of a silver spoon has set you on a certain path, but you needn't stay on it. If you're prepared to adapt and learn, you can transform.
Oh, like in My Fair Lady.
Oh, you're full of surprises. Yes, like My Fair Lady. Only in this case, I'm offering you the opportunity to become a Kingsman.
A tailor.
A Kingsman agent.
Like a spy.
Of sorts. Interested?
You think I've got anything to lose?
Gee, there's that disclaimer. CJ, so.
Well, at least they know we used it, right?
Yeah, we give credit.
Well, basically, I really like that clip. It does set up the movie decently. I liked it because it kind of showed the kind of humor that the movie still had. You know what I mean? It was quite the action flick, and as you know, Renee, I'm a huge fan of action movies. Another thing I'm a big fan of is like fish out of water tales, and this had a hint of that. Because basically, plot in a nutshell is there's this sort of inner city kid who basically and they set up how the spy guy knew his father, but it's basically like an inner city kid who shows promise to this person who's supposed to be like a 007 type of character, and he decides to take him under his wing and teach him how to be sort of the next kind of spy type of person. Basically, they have this organization. It's like it's set up like the Knights of the Round Table. Each of the different spies, they take a name of one of the different one of King Arthur's knights, and one of them dies towards the beginning of the movie, and basically there has to be that many. And so when one of them dies, it prompts them, all of them, to, well, the leader tells them all to pick a candidate, and they're gonna, train them and put them through the course to put them on path to becoming like the next, 007 style spy in their organization. But only one is gonna come out with the job, basically. And that's where this kid comes in. He has ties back. His father was in the running to be one of these people, so he has ties previously. So, but no, yeah, I really like the movie. Like I said, I'm a sucker for an action flick. I'm a sucker for an fish out of the water kind of tale. You know what I mean? I think those are both really interesting things going together. One thing I was talking to Renee about it earlier this week was I thought the plot was kind of like Ender's Game meets Triple X, and I don't really like the movie Triple X, but like the plot is kind of the plot is kind of similar. You know what I mean? Like it's like this unorthodox spy, or this unorthodox person. You know what I mean? Um, learning how to be like a super spy, and that was kind of the same deal here, and it has a little bit of Ender's Game because those of you who've seen that or read the story or heard about it, it's a bunch of kids in training to be the next general. So it's kind of like those two movies mashed up. And I'm a huge Bond fan. I always like the older Bond movies. It's just something classic about it. And this movie was kind of like that. It was kind of a throwback to the older Bond films. Not like the newer ones with Daniel Craig, which are, they're okay, but he doesn't have the charisma. You know what I mean? He's like lacking something, I feel. But no, yeah, this one brought back the charisma. That main actor, I can't remember his name. Do you know who that guy is?
Colin Firth.
Colin Firth. Yeah. Colin Firth. Um, he was actually he kind of his portrayal reminded me of a Roger Moore Bond
Okay.
era. And it was good. Everybody in it was really good. Michael Caine is in it, and he's brilliant. But who I loved was Samuel L. Jackson in it. I know he's in like everything.
Of course.
But the character, the way he played this character, he played, he was a throwback to the huge megalomaniacal villains of the old Bonds. You know what I mean? But the way it was done was just so awesome, because it was like he was a modern day person, you know what I mean? Like he wasn't like a big top villain, but they did it in a weird way. I don't even want to spoil it, but I really liked it. And he was hilarious. He was
So
hilarious.
that actually makes me want to see it.
Yeah, I'll say this much: he had a lisp, and it was awesome. He's like a super villain. Yeah, I don't even want to spoil it. I'm sorry.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So anyway, any comments on what I just said? I don't know.
No, because it's funny you say that because I read the comic book, which is based on it's Secret Service by Mark Miller, and I'm a big Mark Miller fan, and anything he writes, I'll read. And so, but when I would finish this book, I didn't like it. It was started at first, like you said, in intro out of water, fish out of water, and you see the training of a spy. You've never seen a training of a spy become a James Bond character. It's always been this character, this always badass spy. And then at the end, the third act, in the comics at least, it was just all tropes of the super spy being super suave and super sexy. And I'm like, it was like anticlimactic for me at the end. But the fact that you say that it actually makes me want to see it, even though I'm not a big fan of Matthew Vaughn, especially his X-Men First Class job, even though a lot of people, you know how I feel about that.
I know how you feel. That movie's awesome.
It's not, but it's your opinion.
Yeah. Well, my opinion's right. That's okay though.
And that is why we're friends. But no, but that actually makes me want to go see it. So I probably will see it later this week. But the character though, there was, what was it's in the story in the comic books at least too. The main guy is his uncle, and even that backstory of him, the round table thing is a lot more interesting than the comic book itself. Because it's his uncle. He sees him being a rough kid, and he's a diamond in the rough, and he just kind of pulls him out. But it was kind of it felt very, like what a coincidence, where this feels like there's a plot to it, and actual stakes to this. So I'm definitely gonna check that out.
I would say it's more. I mean, it's definitely more plot driven. You have to be in a movie because movies don't have as long to tell the story as a comic book does. But no, yeah, it's definitely more plot driven, and they do, if that's the backstory, they do change the backstory for the movie.
Okay.
For the kid. So it's like it's not his uncle. He actually trained the main character, Eggsy is his name. Actually, the spy person. Eggsy's father was in the running to be what Eggsy became eventually in the movie, but he died. He dies. So, what's his name? He kind of like keeps looking looking after their family, basically.
That's a lot more interesting than the comic book. In the comic book, it was just like his mom was always begging for money or whatever, and he goes, "Well, time to be a man, like earn your own money, and I'll teach you what I know," and then that's what happened. And then the villain's goal or motivation kind of kicks in also in the third act and kind of starts. I don't know if it's same in the movie or not without spoiling it, so I don't want to spoil it for anyone. But I got lost with my thoughts, which happens a lot.
No, yeah. Well, I really liked the villain's motivation in the movie. It was pure and simple. It was to save the planet.
Yeah, that's what it was too in the comic book. It was to save the planet, but
the villain wanted to save the planet. I mean, he had extreme measures.
yes,
extreme ways he wanted to do it, obviously. But obviously he felt that was the only way to do it. I mean, as most villains do, obviously.
So in the comic, this is part of his test run. Like the cover is if we can see the cover, the test run is this. I don't know if there's also kind of he creates something that makes people violent, and he's still, I don't know if that ever comes back or is touched on in the.
Was it at a church?
It was at a wedding.
Okay.
Does that kind of ring true to in the
no
movie?
In the flick it wasn't a wedding, it was at a church.
Okay.
But I'll say this about that scene. If I paid $12 to see this movie and the only thing they showed me was that scene, I would have walked out a satisfied man. I'll tell you that much.
Well, how long?
I'll tell you that much. Like, that scene was so ridiculously awesome. It was, I was almost in tears. It was great. It was beautiful. Like, it was the best.
So recommending you saying it's something we should go see?
Yeah, totally.
Okay, well then that's CJ's review on Kingsmen, Secret Service. So I have a clip for the movie called Robot and Frank that came out 2 years ago, as Frank Langella, James Marsden, and Liv Taylor as minor characters. And if you can roll the clip, we'll come back.
I hate hikes. Goddamn bugs. You see one tree, you see them all. Just hate hikes.
While my program's goal is to improve your health, I'm able to adapt my methods. Would you prefer another form of moderate exercise?
I would rather die eating cheeseburgers than live off steamed cauliflower.
What about me, Frank?
What do you mean, what about you?
If you die eating cheeseburgers, what do you think happens to me? I'll have failed. They'll send me back to the warehouse and wipe my memory.
Well, we're gonna walk. We might as well make it worthwhile. Come on, keep up.
All right, so that clip was at the end. It's something happened and so let me organize my thoughts here. So that is about the man over there, Frank Langella. He plays a cat burglar, an old cat burglar who's lost his memory, and his sons and daughters come visit him every once in a while, but they can't keep doing it because of their families back home. So they hire a robot to keep him company, to keep him to work and exercise. But he's a very stubborn old man, very set in his ways, and the thing is he's a cat burglar and he's losing his memory. And then this robot and the man find a bond, which I think is my favorite one I've ever seen, like human and robots, like from Terminator and with John Connor and all those other kind of robots. I think this is my favorite robot-human interaction I've ever seen. And in the I don't want to spoil too much, but in the movie, the robot is trained by the cat burglar to learn how to steal, and then hilarity ensues. But I definitely.
Such a perfect description of like everything comedy related.
It's comedic. It's dramatic enough and comedic enough that it's perfectly balanced. But it's a really well. And then there's a climatic. The climax scene is it's very heartwarming, very touching. I actually cried. When I don't, I cry, CJ, in the movies.
I don't know when you don't cry.
That's true.
I think you're crying right now, aren't you?
I am. Inside, I am. I don't want to be here anymore. I'm just kidding. But that's all. But yeah, I think it's a fun movie. So it came out 2012, I believe, 2013. I can't remember when I saw it. I saw it on Netflix. So if you have a chance, I definitely recommend people see that. That's all I have on that for now.
Yeah, I really wanted to see it myself. I hadn't seen it though. But I mean, once I saw the plot, it was on my list. Let me ask you something about it.
Yeah,
How what's the robot intelligence like in this world?
it's kind
Like,
of like sci-fi, kind of like it's kind of smart enough to carry a conversation with you without it having to stop, but it's not data smart like Star Trek. It's
okay.
it's learning, but it's above Siri, but no more but below Data from Star Trek. If that makes any
All
sense.
right.
Like it can carry
Yeah, no,
conversation.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense to me.
It's programmed to learn. I know, and then it's one of the more advanced machines in this world because like yeah, everyone has a personal robot like a butler, and that one's mostly that robot is for medicine, for medical assistance, kind of medical provider kind of thing. There's a butler one. There's one that watches your clothing and your food, and it's if I remember correctly. But it's really fun. It's Peter Sarsgaard plays the voice of the robot,
Oh,
and
okay.
so it's always good. Sarsgaard, Garden State,
Yeah, I guess cool.
right? So anything else you got, CJ? This is a great transition.
What, movie wise or
Yeah,
what?
movie. Well, yeah. So Spider-Man's coming to Marvel Cinematic Universe. What do you feel about that? You being the
Uh,
biggest Spider-Man fan I know.
yes. Yes,
That's it.
man. Sorry, got a little vibe there. Okay, so yeah, Spider-Man is coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I've liked mostly all the movies that came out. I mean, yeah, I mean, like everybody else, I felt three was a bit of a disappointment. I mean, and the last one was a little weak, but it was still okay. Um, but see, my issue with Spider-Man coming to the Marvel Cinematic Universe is twofold. Um, Basically, the Amazing Spider-Man reboot, in my opinion, happened too soon after the original Spider-Man trilogy.
I agree.
Um,
Yeah.
and now this one isn't even finished, and they're about to reboot it again. So it's like, okay, I'm getting all this Spider-Man, and I'm getting all this different Spider-Man. Um, but I can't say that we haven't got the same thing with Batman either. You know what I mean? We got two Batmans in a row, then two different Batmans in a row. You know what I mean? And then like, not to mention on the small screen, you know what I mean? All the different animated interpretations that there've been in the last like decade, even. You know what I mean? So it's like it's like yeah, it's something that's bearable, it's something that's doable, and it's Spider-Man, like we'll get it. You know what I mean? He's popular enough hero to weather the storm. um I mean, he's proven that he has been. But I mean, I'm excited to see Marvel's take on it. The fact that Marvel is making movies now, I think, is pretty cool. Like, I mean, I'm a big comic book fan. I like Marvel's movies. They've only had a few that I haven't really thought were awesome, and even those, like, I didn't think were too terrible. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're watchable, even. You know what I mean? Like, but I trust Marvel's track record. But the other thing is like, they also had this. I don't want them to be tempted to rely on Spider-Man either. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, one of
Yes.
the good,
I know exactly what you
one of
mean.
the best, one of the best things about Marvel is they didn't have the characters they wanted, so they made lemonade out of lemons. You know what I mean? They're like, well, we don't have everybody, but we got enough to put the Avengers together if we
Exactly.
make all these movies. You know what I mean? And like, it's something about writing or producing film where your restrictions become, I mean, you can turn that into genius somehow. You know what I mean? And there was something special about that and about the MCU. You know what I mean? That they didn't really have all these popular characters back, but they were making do with what they could. You know what I mean? Like,
Iron Man being the best example. Like no one cares about Iron Man. He's a lame version of Batman, but it's all about the character, and then the heart, his arc reactor being the or his heart being his heart, the metaphor for his heart. I thought was amazing, and then it was just visually, I'm like, that was a great movie. Iron Man 2, like you said, I don't think it was that great. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't a total disaster. Iron Man 3, I loved. But eventually they got to the Avengers, which was a fun movie. But I think Spider-Man is a good thing for Marvel. But I also see what you're saying. It's kind of be. I think they're gonna do it correctly. We're not gonna get the Amazing Spider-Man again, where at least Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man 3. But I'm afraid too that they're just gonna rely heavily on Spider-Man and try to bring him into every single one of their movies, and they might bring in, Miles Morales, though, which would be a different Spider-Man. That's cool. That's him right there. He is in the comic book. He's 13 years old and he's half black, half Hispanic, and he carries on after Peter Parker, who got killed by the Green Goblin. So I hope it's Miles Morales. I don't think it's gonna be Miles Morales. Probably gonna be Peter Parker. What do you think?
I mean, look, I won't be against them doing Miles Morales, but I'm a big Spider-Man fan. Like, I want to see Peter Parker. Like, you know what I mean? Like, Peter Parker is Spider-Man to me. You know what I mean? Miles Morales is, you know what I mean? Miles Morales is the ultimate Spider-Man, and that's cool. But Peter Parker is Spider-Man. You know what I mean? I want to see the Spider-Man movie. I want to see. I'm in it to see Peter Parker. I mean, Miles Morales is different enough that if they did it, it would be cool because we've seen two Peter Parker franchises in a row right now.
Right.
You know?
So maybe that's why they're gonna. Maybe that's why they would go with Miles Morales to differentiate yourself from the Sony, Columbia Spider-Man, to be like, we're not those guys. Where
they are those guys. I mean, they still are those guys. It's still Sony. You know
that's
what I mean?
true.
That is
true.
Doing it.
You know? Touche, sir. Touche. As always.
You know? I mean, but you know what I mean? But look, it's Peter Parker Spider-Man. Like, I don't mind if they go younger. Like, I like that about him. I like the fact that Spider-Man has to try so hard to be a superhero.
Right.
You know, like, his life is so complicated, and he goes and be's a superhero too. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, he tries to do so much. You know, like, Aunt May, you do too much. You're not Superman. You know, or whatever. But you know, he tries so hard, like, to be a superhero. You know, not only is being a superhero hard, but it's hard for him too. You know, like, and high school is the perfect setting for that. You know.
Yeah, so that's why it makes me think they're gonna go with Ultimate Spider-Man, at least, where it's gonna be maybe not Miles Morales, but definitely Peter Parker. But
I just hope if they bring in Venom, they do him right. That's all I'm saying.
I want the Green Goblin done right. That's what I want to see done right. The Green Goblin. I mean, Willem Dafoe did a great Norman Osborn, and I loved him, but I think it could be a better version than the.
You didn't like
I did love
Spider-Man 2's Green Goblin.
I did love his Green Goblin, but I want to see something. I want to see something within the Ultimate Comics where it's him transforming into the monster and not putting on a costume. Like, why would someone put on a costume of a goblin? Like, what's the motivation for that? You know, if he's insane, why does he? Does that make sense? Like, Spider-Man, he got bit by a spider, so it's power themed power motif. So that makes sense. He's a spider, but why would the jackal
act like a goblin?
Yeah, like, what causes him to, like, if he transformed, like, if he kind of goblins out, hulks out, that would make sense, right? But like the Rhino too. Why would
I was never a big fan of the Ultimate Goblin, just because he was kind of like the Hulk. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just didn't like the. I mean, I don't know. I would like it if there was a medium. You know what I mean? Because I mean, he is supposed to He is supposed to goblin out, like, even in the MCU. Or not MCU, even in the 616.
Right.
You know what I mean? He goblins out. It's just more of a mental thing. You know,
but it's still kind of Hulkish though, where it's two personalities. Like, it's Spider-Man. Yeah, I mean, not Spider-Man, but it's Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin fighting to control the body.
All right, I'm just an Ultimate Universe hater. Okay?
I know you are. I know. Alrighty, so we got like 3 minutes left about this. So anything else you want to talk about before we wrap up, CJ?
Well, put me on the spot. Then,
I forgot about that. So before we take off, we last minute things. Marvel Universe is ending supposedly, where they're going to bring in Miles Morales into the 616. So I guess he'll be part with Peter Parker and all the other Spider people. Like, there's Spider-Man, Spider-Woman. Who else? Anya Corazon.
There's a lot of them.
Venom, Carnage.
I mean, I admittedly I have to catch up on the whole Spider-Verse thing. I'm really waiting for them to put it in, for them to combine it in the paperback book, because because I want it all. You know, I just want to buy the whole thing, you know, and read it. But you know, yeah.
Yeah,
I don't
but
know. But no, yeah, yeah. So the Marvel 616 is ending, um, and as a result, they're combining like all of their realities together, which I think is exciting. Um, I do hope that as a result, a lot of them die because I don't want to have to follow all these characters. You know what I mean? And like all these redundant, like, come on, like we got Scarlet Spider, we got Spider-Man 2099, we got Spider-Man, we got what is it? Uh, Superior Spider-Man.
he's dead.
You know, we got Anya Corazon running around. You know, we got Spider-Woman still running around.
Which of the three
We
though?
got a Silk. We got you know, there's a lot of these Spider characters running around. Like some, but we could stand to lose a few. You know.
Alrighty. So there's that. Thank you. So we have one. We're almost out of time. I want to thank CJ for joining us from LA before he has to go back to work. Thank you, CJ, for being part of this inaugural one. And hopefully you guys will come back if there's another one. Hopefully. Again, thanks for watching and have a good day, night, weekend, whenever this airs.
Have a good something.
Yes, good something. Bye.